Let's talk more about the Sessions retirement, really firing, with South Carolina Republican Congressman Trey Gowdy, who sits on the Judiciary and Intelligence Committees and chairs the Oversight and Government Reform Committee. Congressman, thanks for being here.
Yes, sir.
Your thoughts of this news?
It was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen after the election. I did not think it would happen before all the votes had been counted. But he's been a proverbial dead man walking for several months now, Bret.
Yeah, you know, Chuck Schumer had a real problem with the acting Attorney General. Take a listen.
Our paramount view is that any Attorney General, whether this one or another one, should not be able to interfere with the Mueller investigation in any way. They should not be able to end it. They should not be able to limit it. They should not be able to interfere with Mueller going forward and doing what he thinks is the right thing. And that will help guide us as we go through this process.
So their concern is that Matt Whitaker is going to do that. Is that your concern?
No, Bret. Every prosecutor has jurisdictional boundaries. I don't know a single prosecutor that does not. And Mueller's jurisdictional boundaries were set by Rod Rosenstein in the memo that you have seen, and they were altered, amended in the memo that we have not seen. But there's never been a prosecutor that just had unfettered power to go investigate whatever the heck he or she wanted to do. If you're a state prosecutor, you can't investigate federal crimes. If you're in New York, you can't investigate things in Idaho. So the notion that we're going to create a special counsel that has no boss, no jurisdictional strictures at all, is just typical Chuck Schumer, and I think it's why so few people take him seriously.
Well, what about the Deputy Attorney General, Rod Rosenstein, and his role here? One would have assumed that the deputy, that's why he's a deputy, if the Attorney General is not there, would step in as acting.
You would. These are interesting times that we're in. Rod Rosenstein, I was ready to question him. I had 37 pages worth of questions for him, Bret, a couple of weeks ago. Of course, he is alleged to have wanted to invoke the 25th Amendment and question the president's fitness for office. So I'm not sure that would have been the right pick, but he is overseeing the Mueller probe right now. I don't think anything's going to happen to Rod until after Mueller finishes his investigation, and then what happens after that will be between the president and Rod.
Rosenstein had a meeting today at the White House, scheduled to be there tomorrow. Do you have any sense when Mueller moves forward with anything? Do you have any timeline?
I don't, and I'd be really disappointed if anyone did. I mean, Mueller, for whatever other shortcomings people perceive that he has, I think he's tried to do a pretty good job of keeping his business private. I have not seen a single piece of evidence that suggests collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia. I know Schiff has. I know some journalists claim they have. But I've seen nothing, and no one's interviewed more witnesses than I have. So I think Mueller is going to issue an exhaustive report on what Russia did, which should unify America, and then he's going to disappoint CNN and all my Democrat friends by saying there's no evidence of collusion. That's what I think he's going to do, and I think it'll happen before the end of the year, but I don't know that.
Mr. Chairman, do you think that acting Attorney General Whitaker could expand the investigation the other way into looking at the FBI, the early parts of the investigation from inside the administration?
Well, he could. You know, Chairman Goodlatte and I wrote a long time ago, we wrote Attorney General Sessions and said we think, reluctantly, but we think there ought to be a second special counsel. And I say that as somebody who used to work for the Department of Justice and wants to see that institution restored to its greatness. But I think there ought to be a second special counsel to look at the origins of the Russia probe and the way the FBI conducted itself. I mean, Chairman Goodlatte and I have been investigating to the extent we can without a grand jury and without compulsory process. We've been looking at what we can, and I am deeply troubled by what the department and the Bureau did. And I think another special counsel is warranted, and I thought that months ago.
Is it more likely that that happens with the acting Attorney General Whitaker than not?
Well, my chances were 0 with Sessions because he said no. So not to quote the movie Dumb and Dumber, but I guess it's 1 in a million. I guess it's better than it was with Sessions.
So you're saying you got a chance. All right, I've got 15 seconds here. Your reaction to losing the House?
Not surprised. Historical headwinds, retirements. It's really tough to win in off years. Picked up seats in the Senate. I'm sorry for some of my friends that aren't coming back. Mia Love and Stevie Russell and others. But it's an unusual line of work that we have chosen, and the jury has spoken, and the jury is always right.
And what about the president saying, you know, if you didn't stand with me, too bad, today at the news conference?
Well, we lost a seat in South Carolina. Katie Arrington stood with the president, much more so than Mark Sanford, and regrettably, she did not win. So I think he had tremendous success in the Senate seats that he involved himself with. The House is just a different entity, and it's tough to win in off years. The historical headwinds, the money that poured in, their retirements. I think Kevin and Paul knew that we were in trouble, even though they fought like the Dickens to prevent it. I think it was inevitable. I didn't see us picking up seats in the Senate, so that was a plus.
Mr. Chairman, we appreciate your time, as always.
Yes, sir. Thank you.